Hello everyone, I am Crawlers and this is another episode of Ridiculous Loadout. As you may already know, this is a series I started way back when in the Battlefield 3 days, basically whoring myself out for cheap views, running a suggested loadout from one of you in the comments section. Now, mostly, this is a not so tactical series where most of the loadouts are either troll or bad or just plain ugly looking. Really, I get a chance to try out a kit, a combination that I haven't thought of before, and maybe have good results with it. Mostly not though. So today, a suggestion comes from a Redditor, if you can believe that, who saw one of my loadouts, by the name of Chippy569, whose suggestion was to go for a kit that would be difficult for me to use. As my last loadout of the MTAR was kind of easy, a kit that had all the parts going for it that made it easy to use, this kit is supposed to take me out of my comfort zone. Chippy actually suggested a couple of loadouts for me, each with an increasing level of difficulty, each using a Chinese rifle because they all have pretty bad upwards recoil and are difficult to handle. But me being Russian, I went straight for the Gusto, straight for the third suggested loadout with the most difficulty. The third and most difficult loadout on the list, the kit suggested here, centers around a QBU-88 rifle, with either an RDS and multiplier flip-up scope, or the 4X and canted iron sights, which I chose as you can see. Also a suppressor and an angled grip. I ran this as I was suggested with the Recon class and the Spec Ops perk, and the tugs and the respawn beacon. Try and hold yourself within an area of the map, Chippy said, and I did my best to camp, although I'm always kind of... my first instinct is to run in guns blazing, to the enemy, thereby giving the other team free kills. And, by the way, as my sidearm, I used the 93R with a suppressor. Challenging, but doable, said Chippy. And I kind of agree. I mean, if you're gonna be camping on the roof, you could probably make the QBU-88 work, but honestly, even here you face the threat of the occasional headshot from a counter sniper you see too late. So, the QBU-88 is a Chinese rifle, right? But we all knew that. Well, we also knew that in Battlefield 4, unlike Battlefield 3, it's classified as a DMR and available to all classes, not just Recon. And speaking of Battlefield 3, I actually did do a QBU-88 loadout, by the way, way back in the day before Battlefield 4. If you want to check that video out, it was pretty cool. The video, I mean. The rifle sucked. The rifle itself sucked. And, in fact, DICE made it even worse for Battlefield 4, which makes absolutely no sense at all. They didn't balance it or nothing, they just made it worthless. So, in Battlefield 4, it does a maximum damage of 43 at 8 meters, which drops off to 34 at 65 meters. Now, not only is this damage model subpar to all the other DMRs, with the exception of the SKS, but also the drop-off range is moved closer to the shooter, making the maximum and the minimum damage come much earlier over range. Now, you might think that this is as bad as it gets with this rifle, but no, it gets worse. Even the maximum damage that it does up close is so little that even landing a perfect headshot won't kill an enemy, doing only 86 total damage. And unfortunately, as I just said, DICE completely nerfed the QBU's damage model since Battlefield 3. There it used to have a maximum damage of 50, which meant you could kill with one headshot up close, but now it's just a worthless piece of shitty rifle. Now, it also has a first shot multiplier of 2 in Battlefield 4 as opposed to 1 in Battlefield 3, but surprisingly, that is balanced by a vertical kick that is a little less. So, bringing the total upwards per shot recoil down, actually, from Battlefield 3. Now, I say total, of course, because the first shot multiplier applies to every shot in the case of the QBU, which is a semi-automatic weapon and fires only one shot at a time. Thankfully, in the case of this loadout, the angled grip helps somewhat with the bad first shot multiplier of 2, bringing it down to a more or less tolerable 1.34. The silencer isn't helping the QBU-88 one single bit though. I'd have a problem finding a good use for the silencer in most situations, in fact, but in this particular one, it's just a nuisance. You see, the original muzzle velocity of the QBU-88 was actually 600 meters a second, and surprisingly, more than any other DMR in Battlefield 4. But as soon as you equip the suppressor, the muzzle velocity drops down to a painful 330 meters a second, which, well, it's a problem obviously. A slow bullet will take its sweet time reaching the enemy, so, he might be able to move out of the way by the time it reaches him, and with such a slow muzzle velocity, leading becomes a real problem. Shooting at targets on the move is literally a crapshoot, and it's just not doing anyone any favors. Now, usually this means that you're not gonna hit what you're aiming at, and so if you're as prone to, rage as me, you start spamming the left mouse button, which is even worse because the QBU-88 only has 10 rounds in the magazine, not to mention that the vertical recoil adds up over time, so you start seeing nothing but the sky over several shots, over a period of several shots. Another problem with the QBU-88 is that you start out with very few magazines and therefore less than your usual total amount of ammo. So unless you equip this rifle with the support class, you're gonna find yourself running dry after a few, rage-induced spam sessions. It still gets worse though. You might not believe this, but it does. The side-to-side recoil on the QBU-88 in Battlefield 4 is negative 0.1 left and 0.3 right, so it's uneven. This is a problem because it means that the recoil will pull the gun more towards one side because, the recoils won't cancel each other out. All DMRs, in fact, have uneven pull in Battlefield 4, uneven side-to-side pull. But what's interesting here is that some did in Battlefield 4 too, but not the QBU-88. It had a 0.3 pull both to the left and to the right. Now obviously with this kit, the horrible muzzle velocity, the ginormous recoil, and other things I had going against me, I tried to distance myself from firefights as much as I could. I tried not taking people on directly because, coming up with a dude with an assault rifle is an insta-death with the QBU. A problem with this rifle is that with such a high recoil and low damaging bullets, you're gonna be missing a whole lot. At least I did. So, reloading after every kill is a must. provided you haven't actually used the whole magazine on one guy. Shitty rifle all around, and you should see its iron sights. Yuck. Not that I like the 93R any better. I mean, it's an automatic pistol that does little damage, in fact less damage than it did in Battlefield 3, has a tremendous upwards recoil, is inaccurate, and with the suppressor doesn't even have the muzzle velocity to make a difference. In fact, to get technical, its maximum damage is 18 at 8 meters, which drops off to 10.8 at 55 meters. Firing the 9mm bullet from a clip of 20 at 380 meters a second standard muzzle velocity, or in this case 190 meters a second because it was suppressed, at a mind-numbing 900 RPM. Now keep in mind that you can switch this to a semi-automatic rate of fire, but it won't really matter much because the inaccuracy is still there. It has a per shot vertical recoil of 0.5 and a first shot multiplier of 2, making it hard to keep on target if you're gonna be spamming burst on top of burst. It does have a pretty good idle recoil decrease rate though, of 30 degrees per second, which is the speed at which it resets after you're done firing. So, yes, Chippy, you are right. This has been a difficult but not impossible setup. So, I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Ridiculous Loadout. And now, because I don't feel like suffering alone, Chippy must also run this loadout and upload it to YouTube, and I'll accept the link down below in the comments section. So, thanks for watching. Please rate and share this video as it helps my channel grow. Check out my other videos at the end of this one. And remember, in Soviet Russia, YouTube subscribes you.